Hi, Sarah from Sacred Tree. Wanted to talk about heart and circulatory problems. Number one killer in the United States. I teach lots of classes on this. If you're interested in any of the classes I teach online, check out my website. I also work through ipac.edu or ipac.edu, which is Dr. James Lyons Weiler's institute, and I teach a lot online. Heart and circulatory issues, it's the number one killer in the United States. Almost 700,000 people die in the country due to heart and circulatory problems. That includes heart attack, stroke, and the complications that come about. I know there's a lot of myths out there in regards to heart and circulatory health and how to stay healthy. And those myths are basically don't eat fat. It's a myth. Getting a good amount of fat in your diet is actually very healthy. So when you hear don't eat eggs, don't eat fatty, red meat or different types of fatty meats. Fish has a lot of fat in it, by the way, and it's very heart healthy. Grass-fed beef or beef in general is very heart healthy. It's usually the other stuff that these commercial butchers put on the meat that causes the problem, like red dyes. We always want to know what our animals are eating. Grass-fed beef is better as far as the quality of oils and fats in it. So we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? Red meat is being vilified, and for no reason, in my opinion. Red meat is part of a good diet, and so is fat. It doesn't mean to sit down to a bowl of saturated fats like tallow or lard, but it does mean to get some of that in your diet. It's the rancid fats that are the problem. The hydrogenated fats, okay? These are omega-6 oils that they heat to very high temperatures to make them saturated. So they're changing the molecule, and when you eat it, it creates inflammation. Inflammation is at the very heart, get it, of the issue. Today, I'm going to make a hypertensive tonic, which means it's going to help people's high blood pressure. It's going to reduce the blood pressure. Blood pressure is a problem if it's too high. It can cause issues in the vasculature, in your arteries. And when you have high blood pressure, it can cause inflammation in certain areas in the bloodstream, and that's when you start to collect plaque. Okay, fat in the blood is a response to inflammation. That's the skinny of it. That's the very tip of the iceberg of it. But today, and a lot of people have hypertension. So hypertension isn't because you eat fat. It's stress. It's too much salt. These lots of processed foods. If you're eating at McDonald's and having chips all the time and, crappy snacks and just these horrible energy drinks, really bad for the heart and circulatory system. So hypertension has a lot of underlying, everybody has a different or similar, some people have similar, but there's an underlying issue there. And there's several underlying issues. One is crappy diet. One is high stress. And none of them is about having a good amount of fat in your diet. Okay, so fat is anti-inflammatory. Okay, that's my spiel on that. But today I'm making my hypertensive tonic that I do give out for people who have moderate hypertension. Sometimes it can be kidney related, which is stress, not enough water in your diet, and it can be liver. There's a liver component to hypertension as well, and your heart. So this tonic kind of tries to approach it in a multi-level way, right? So I've got several ingredients here. One is Rauwolfia. Rauwolfia is a hypertensive herb. I was going to show you the bag. Is a hypertensive herb. It's also called Indian snake root. It's Rauwolfia serpentina, and I add a bit of that in there to help with hypertension. My other main plant of all these wonderful hypertensive plants. Nettle root is the other one. So nettle root is just like the stinging nettle plant. We're using the root. It's also good for prostate inflammation, but I'm adding this here. I'm weighing it all out, and then what I'll do is I'm gonna make an extract with it. So I'm gonna add my 50% alcohol to this, and I want to double it. So I forgot that I have to double it. So that's 2 ounces of nettle root here. We got 3 ounces of Rowolfia. And this is going to go and make 2 quarts of tincture. So I'm going to get all my herb in here and then put it in my jar. I might have to powder some, and then I'll pour my alcohol on top of it. So if you're into extracts, it's going to be about a 1-to-4 in ratio. So, and then my next plant is hawthorn. Hawthorn is a tree, grows everywhere in New Hampshire. Crataegus is its Latin name. It is not a huge tree. It's a relatively small tree, but it's for heart. It's a heart tonic. So I absolutely put that in here. And so I'm going to get 1 ounce each of the berry, actually 2 ounces because I'm doubling it. Hello. And then 2 ounces of the leaf and flower. The leaf and flower actually have more of the cardiac glycosides. It's a fancy schmancy word for it's going to help your heart and circulation. It reduces inflammation in the circulatory system, and it is really, really good for the heart in general. Just a tonic. You can make jams with the berries. You can't OD on the stuff. You got to be careful with blood thinners. You know, always with every herbal medicine you're taking, work with somebody like me so I can help you eke it out, because there's a lot of meds that you can't mix a lot of different herbs with. So, okay, and yarrow. Remember yarrow? We talked about yarrow yesterday. So yarrow I mentioned it was for hypertension and for all sorts of other things. But today I'm using it for its hypertensive quality. And we're putting that in here as much as we can. Oops, that was a little too much. 2 ounces of that. And then I've got mistletoe. I'll get that after, because that's in my herb closet over here. Mistletoe is a plant that, you know, you get under it and kiss someone at Christmas. But it has a lot more uses than that. It is absolutely a hypotensive, so it's going to help bring down blood pressure, which is obviously why it's in here. And I have it in a small part because too much of it isn't a good thing. And actually some people do react not well to it, so I'm careful with how much mistletoe I put in there. Motherwort is a plant that I actually have in my garden. It naturalizes in this area. It's in the mint family, and it is actually indicated for calming the heart. I love it for hypertension because it's a nervine. It's going to help just bring you down. Seems to be the theme in the last few days. Mimosa bark, albizia. This is the bark of a tree. This is an excellent nervine as well. I find it helps relieve tension in the muscles, but I love this nervine in my blend. So I add a half a part of that, because too much of this we don't want to put people to sleep. Okay, it's not the purpose, unless that's what you're going for, which isn't with the hypertensive tonic. This is something you're going to take daily if you have mild to moderate hypertension. And then we are doing linden flowers, tilia. So linden, you might have seen linden trees, and if you're from New Hampshire, they have a ton of them downtown Laconia. Oftentimes they have them in cemeteries. It is also called lime flower, and we're using the flower and the bract. And so that's what this is. It's all the crushed up flowers. It smells lovely. I love to use fresh linden in oil and do my flower power body lotion, and linden is really good for sunburns. You get a linden flower, infuse it in oil, make some creams. It really helps heal a sunburn in a day. It's just amazing. So I use linden, two ounces of that. And so I'll add my, you can see this beautiful schmosh herbs. And I'll add the mistletoe in here. I'm gonna powder it a little because I gotta fit it all in this jar, and I want to leave room for some alcohol. So what I'll do is I'll powder this, I'll put it in the jar, and then I'll mix up my 50% organic alcohol, fill it to the top, label it, and this will be done in about 4 to 6 weeks. I shake it around, and then I dole it out to people. And I'm usually dosing, depending on the person, 1 to 3 teaspoons a day. It depends on the person and how big they are, you know, and how high their blood pressure is. But I find that this blend typically helps with mild to moderate hypertension. So another wonderful thing the plants can do for you to help with any imbalance you have. And so that's my hypertensive tonic. Have a super duper.